Hello everyone, this episode is gonna be a little bit tricky because I lost my mic and I've recorded 2 episodes of Cliff Empire without my mic because I didn't plug it on or something. But I didn't realize it and I kept making new videos and there was some really interesting stuff, and I don't have the save, so I can either like scrub the entire playthrough, which I really don't want to do, or skip those 2 episodes, which I'm not a big fan either because there was some really interesting stuff. We discovered sidewall buildings, so they're really cool. And it's really hard to do a voiceover when you're watching it to time it correctly. So instead, we're gonna do like episode highlights because there's some really interesting stuff in these episodes. So first thing that we did, we kind of increased the taxation at the Heavenly Water, which is actually really cool because you can increase the taxes by 20%. And considering that we were making like it 900 or something like that, you can increase it to like 1,000, which is huge. Okay, so those were the beginnings. Now it's time to get to the meat bone of this episode. We have unlocked sidewall structures, which is huge. Huge. The buildings category sidewall structures became available and new buildings for defense were also available. So we can do some really cool stuff. And I'm going to show you in a second what kind of buildings we can get because it's really cool. And what sidewall building essentially means that you can build them on the sidewall of a cliff. We had quite a few interesting options. We can start with vertical solar stations and battery station. Essentially allow us to get electricity outside of the main space of the cliffs, which can really save a lot of space because if you look at our solar panels, they're huge. Now what we're currently building is a waterfall because I wanted to make it like really pretty, the Heavenly Water, and it looks really nice. And especially when we have the view of that bank with the trading shuttle, I think it looks really nice with the waterfalls in front of it. And I'm going to show you as soon as it's built how it actually. You can also build a vertical indoor crop farms, salad farms, or vineyards, which can be really nice because, again, we can move quite a bit of the food production away. And while the vineyards and the salad farms are not that big, it can still be useful to kind of move it out of the main areas and get a little bit of that space. Okay, now we start building our solar panels. Like I said, they can really save a lot of space, and I mean on the side, eventually the sidewalls are actually filled too, and then you're kind of like, whoa, I need even more space, but at this point in the game, it can be a really good idea to make it out because those wind turbines and solar panels, they take like a 4 space usually, and you need a lot of them. So they really take up a lot of space. So it can be really good to fix that. And now we're making the salad farms as well, as you can see. I do try to place them in a way that's like gonna be pretty or have like a batch of them together. But it can be pretty hard with the side cliff because there's some diagonals there on which you cannot build. Or it just doesn't quite fit right or stuff like that. So it takes a little bit of tinkering to figure out where exactly to place it. But I love side building so much because they really like, with this game, what I love is that you feel like you're kind of done everything, like you've built all the basic building aside maybe from the personal villa or something that costs like so much money, or the hotel, which we'll do in future episodes. And then you unlock something, you're like, whoa, I have a new set of side buildings, so I can actually be moving stuff to the sides and removing them from the middle, which is really cool, and I'm a fan of that. And the game keeps doing this for quite a while. There are a lot more stuff to unlock, and we'll talk about them as we get to them, and it's really nice. And you can look at our solar panels. Aren't they pretty? They look really nice.
On-wall construction completed. On-wall construction completed.
And look at our waterfalls. I mean, and with the bank, it's just, I love the majestic look of the trading portal with the bank just together. It just seems really epic. And the waterfalls next to it are kind of adding a little bit of something to it. I like it. We're struggling on batteries as usual, and the orbital station wants us to make more, but honestly we're just gonna ignore it because there's no way we can do it. They have like 0 batteries, and like no way. And even though we have 2 nuclear power plants, it's just still not enough. And it's because they're not like continuously producing, so we're going to be making another uranium mine to kind of help them out with that, because they don't have a constant supply of uranium to keep working. So it's something that I'm doing kind of to help it out, but yeah, so not quite ideal. Which is a spoiler alert a little bit, but I'm like 10 episodes ahead, guys, so I gotta remember what to say, at what point we were, so it's not that easy. Not that easy, guys.
Large construction completed. New citizen. On-wall construction.
We finished our salad farms, and they're really cool. And that allows us to demolish the one we have to get a little bit more space. I might be thinking we don't really need that much space at the moment at the SPS Center. You're right, but we will need them eventually, so I think it's better to just remove what you don't need straight up. Because later on, you're just kind of like not certain, like what was it that I wanted to remove, like what do I have too much of, and just easier if you just do it straight up. Then we decided to build a few indoor crop farms. So we're going to be adding them up a little bit between the waterfalls, kind of on the bottom, so they're not so visible. But yeah, we're going to get some food to have in the water, so we don't have to pay that much to the other guys. Unfortunately, you can only have like one building on the cliff. You cannot build two more. I've tried to like move them up and down to like see if you can fit like two different, but it's not gonna fit.
Objective failed.
You just only have like one on the side. Which is still better than nothing, but kind of hoping that maybe you can fit like a vertical indoor crop farm on the bottom and salad farm on top. No, it's just not gonna fit in. Now we have discovered that we had a problem with the batteries, that we actually were making them, but the drones weren't taking them from the battery stations, which were like the main problems. So we didn't have any batteries even though we were producing enough energy to make them. So I've kind of fixed that by A, making more drones, and 2, increasing the priority on the battery stations so that the drones will focus on them first, get the batteries out, and that will allow us to actually build more.
Trading platform arrived.
And that has helped out a lot. You can see all the drones are kind of flying towards the battery station, just kind of picking it all up, and then it's like it's nearly empty, and it actually can make more stuff. So you gotta be careful, or generally in Cliff Empire with some buildings, kind of look at the capacity, especially if you don't have enough drones and you don't have large drones yet, to make sure that it's not getting stuck, because that can happen. That's like it's getting filled up, the drones are not quite making it, and suddenly you don't have enough of a resource that you should have plenty of, because it's not it's just filled up the warehouse and it's not producing because it doesn't have anywhere to put it.
Trading platform arrived.
Now I have set up some vineyards at the SPS Center, which will help us get way more grapes, because as you can see in the vitamins tab, we actually don't have enough. And the reason why we didn't have enough was because the winery was kind of taking them all. Because it needs like, I don't know, it needs quite a bit of grapes to actually make wine. So we were kind of adding a production to make sure we have enough grapes, because we don't really need the wine so much. Like yes, it's a good idea to have good entertainment, but it's not such a big problem for the people. We finally finished our research, so we can pick a new one. We finished the printing production, and then we're going to be focusing on adding the 4th level of modular buildings, but we'll actually change this later, because this is only relevant once we have like 11 medals, which is gonna take a little bit of a while thing. But modular buildings are gonna be really cool, I think. I haven't unlocked them yet, but it's coming soon. 5 episodes ahead for you guys, but it's just like almost there with me. I'm almost there. Cool thing when you have 3 production points that you can actually make one of each. You can make home appliances, furniture, and you can also make gadgets, which is really cool. I'm still kind of using one of the factories to make up engines, but eventually you can even get to something like 4 production points, and you can make completely everything. But the truth is you don't really need that many engines, so 3 seems to be like the sweet spot for me at least. See, now the battery station is working perfectly because it really was all about the too much stuff in the warehouse, like I already explained. In the SPS center was to actually deactivate the law for less water consumption so that we can get a little bit more money and we can like buy the water if necessary or stuff like that. Now we have also upgraded the priority for the battery station at the Dream Workplace because we had the exact same problem. Even though we don't have many building at the Dream Workplace, we still like didn't have enough drones for them, so we did the same thing. We increased the priority of the battery station to ensure that the drones will empty it out and that we can kind of make better productions. But I was quite surprised by this fact that even though we have quite a bit of drones there and not many buildings, that it just wasn't making it fast enough. But it is what it is. And you can see that we have gotten from like 0 batteries to like 6 or 7. Which is not ideal, but it's a little bit of an improvement. And we seem to be holding on around 6 and 7. Okay, the season of strong winds has begun. Cloudiness makes solar energy inefficient, which is really bad for us at this point. Windiness makes wind generations work at their limit. That's actually pretty good. You expect from you a large supply of batteries this week? No way. No way. You can't do it. This is a bit of a problem with disasters. You get medals for disasters, but you do not get them if the disaster is attached to some task. Like for example here, the disaster is related to selling batteries. So if we don't sell enough batteries, we cannot get the medal for that. But there are some other, like we had the thunderstorm, right? That one was they didn't have any task attached to it, so then you got a medal just from surviving it. So this is like a bit of a problem. This is something you kind of have to watch out for because the medals are really important and you don't want to waste time by not getting them. So you want to make sure that you can get as much of a surplus of everything as you can, because with most of the different disasters you will be required to send stuff somewhere, to like send batteries, send food, send water, and if we cannot fulfill, which we can for example with this disaster, we will not get the medal and we have to wait for another disaster. The disaster come quite often, but yeah, if you don't fulfill them, it can take you much longer to get to the next medals to unlock the new stuff, and new stuff is really cool. Like sidewall buildings are really just the beginning. It's gonna be a lot more where they came from, and they're all really, really fun. I will not tell you what they are because I want to spoil it for you, but really cool stuff, guys. Really cool. I've actually built a few wall gardens. Okay, so that was it for the first episode. Let's continue with the highlights for the next one, and then we are going to the next episode, which is like the regular playthrough. So I'm gonna start with the highlights for the second episode now. Oh yeah, first thing we gotta talk about is at the Heavenly Workplace. I've noticed that you still need to have some food in stock, because if you don't have any, then the manpower will be lowered, even like the manpower of the people who are coming from the Heavenly Water to work there will still be lowered because it seems like they don't have any food, so it's going to be very low. So that was something that we had to adjust, that I had to set up that I'm willing to buy some of the food. And I only needed to buy one because then it's going to stay in stock forever because we have no people at the Dream Workplace. But I did have to make sure that we have that, because otherwise the game just doesn't seem to get it that there are no people there, and it's really struggling with the concept on that. Now I have changed the research to improved engines because I have realized that I don't really need the modular buildings, as it's going to take a while to unlock that, so I've immediately kind of changed it. I've also created a lot more drones in the Heavenly Workplace and sent them over to the SPS Center. Now, there has been an update since this episode that actually made transferring drones something that you have to like sell to another city, so the other city has to have the money for it. So that can be a little bit difficult, but don't be afraid. I actually, if you're struggling on money, I have made a guide on how to make money. And if you're wondering why am I making a guide when I don't have any money, well, I am like 10 episodes ahead of you, so don't worry. Now my cities have plenty of money. Either the video is already uploaded or it will be uploaded soon, so you can then look at it, and when you're starting a new game, you can figure out how to best make money, because especially in the beginning, if you use it right, you can really get up a lot of money and not worry about it. The next thing we were looking at were dietary supplements. If you sign them, then you don't need to bring, for example, grapes to the city. You can just take, the value will be the same as your medicine. So if you have 100% medicine, then you don't need to like buy grapes, but the vitamins for grape will be at 100% because it's like they took some pills or something instead. But I have not done that because my medicine is not high enough at the Heavenly Water where this would be interesting, so it wouldn't be useful for me. Now in the Space Center we now have a problem where we don't have any food, but again the problem actually isn't the fact that we just don't have any food, because as you can see we have like 160 in the city, but it was again the problem because I didn't have enough drones. We weren't able to get them out of there fast enough. So this can be a bit of a problem. However, what you can look at when you're looking at the trading platform prices there, and see that food only costs me 1. And that is because I have a lot in stock. But for example, if you look at Dream Workplace, then it's like 15. So this is something important to look at when you're trading, that if you have a lot of stock of one item in the city, then you can buy it for cheaply. And this might sound like a little bit like stupid. Like, why would you care about that, right? Like, if I have a lot in stock, I don't need the resource. But remember that you can be sending food throughout the city. So it can be especially a good idea with actually water and batteries, not just food, because with water you have pipelines. So if you buy it in one city, it will be automatically transformed to another. So it can be a good idea to buy water in the city where you make the water, where you have a lot in, maybe not in like storages, because if it was in storage it would be transferred to other city, but at least like in the water factories essentially. Sorry, not like water stations, you get it. So you can buy there for extremely cheap and then automatically be transferred to other city, but you can do it with even with food and stuff and then move to the other cities with bridges. So if you need an X resource, it's always a good idea to look like which city can it buy it for the cheapest and buy it there, maybe transfer it through the bridges and stuff like that. And you can also manipulate it a little bit, because the game, the way it works is that it takes it from how much you have in stock. You can like do a one-time purchase and buy like 100 of X of salads, for example, and then continuously buy salads if you have less than 100. But because you constantly have so much in stock, the orbital station thinks, oh wow, we have so many salads, we're not gonna pay as much because you have plenty of it. So that can be a trick that you can use to kind of manipulate the game and into giving you better prices. But at the moment, all of my problems in the city, again, the problem is not enough food, is because of the drones. The lack of drones, they are unable to get to my fields fast enough. They're not taking the grain because they're so busy between the trading portal and the bridges that they just like don't have much time to do other stuff, and then they have to go to battery stations and and stuff. So it's like it really is a drone problem, and it can be fixed once you get large drones and or agrarian drones, but I don't have them at the moment. Now I've built more vertical indoor core farms because I haven't realized that the problem were the drones. As you can see, I'm building a lot more of those, but they're not the problem. The problem were the drones. It will of course help because you have like more stuff in stock and eventually it will be moved through, but that was not the problem in the city. And the Dream Workplace, I wanted to make sure that we're on top of water situation, so I've actually built a few more water stations just to kind of help out the load. And I've also built a water extraction, water filters. They do make a lot more than the water battery stations, so they're much better. I'm researching the drone speed because at the moment of this episode you needed to research the drone speed before you were able to research the better type of drones, the large drones, but since then they've made an update. They actually allowed you to research the new drones from the beginning, so this is something I definitely recommend, researching the large drones as soon as you can. Other good researches are the pipelines and the thing that allows you to transfer batteries between cities for free, and then printing production. So this is probably what I would say are the top of the top, from at least my experience in the game so far. Because the large drones that you're definitely gonna need, because otherwise you get a lot of problems like I have in this episode with like not having enough food, even though I have a gazillion of food on the farm fields, but I'm not getting them. That's why the drones. The pipelines and the batteries are very good because you don't have to, you can outsource production of batteries or water to another cities, and you don't have to pay for it, so that can be good. However, there's a bit of a downside to it, and that's that if you have a city like I have the Dream Workplace that is mostly focused on making water and batteries, and the other cities are not paying for it, the city is gonna struggle with making money. And this is something that well, actually I shouldn't. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna tell you anything because it's spoilers. Sorry about it. Just ignore everything I said. I'm sorry. I'm like the friend that promises you not to tell you any spoilers when you watch a movie with him, and he still just says something like, no. Sorry, you didn't hear anything. Okay. Sorry, nothing said. But yeah, back to research. Yeah, and the printing production is really good because as you can see, I have 5 places for doing printing production, and that's a lot. However, if I had to research like +1 or +2 printing points, I could reduce this significantly to maybe 2 or 3. So that, however, to be fair, these 5 things I'm producing for like all the cities, so that's something. But like, yeah, it can be a lot less if you research the printing production. Then some other interesting researches are like a set of research that increases like the matter deposits, the soil fertility, the groundwater, the sunshine, etc. So this can help you if you have like not great statistics, or generally if you like want to speed it up. And essentially later, once you get a bit further in the game, there will be nothing that you like maybe need to research, so then you're going to be focused on these kind of like not that important things that will just help you out a little bit, you know, get water a little bit faster, get batteries a little bit faster. So that's kind of what you're going to be focusing on after, but they're not nearly as important. And then once you finally unlock modular buildings, which I will not tell you if I've done yet or not, then you want to focus on adding the levels there. That's pretty cool and pretty important. Now we have discovered here that we don't have enough vitamins, we don't have enough fish. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to kind of either add some ports or kind of figure out. I don't really have that much water, as there's only one island with water. I've read some guide since that says that you're only supposed to like start a game if at least 2 islands have water, but I don't know how realistic that is, because when I was looking at the start, there was like plenty of them where none of these things had water, which could be interesting like for difficulty, by the way. I was trying to do something about my aesthetics, because my aesthetics is really bad. By the way, interesting point is the fact that if you have a debris lying somewhere, it very significantly decreases your aesthetic. And I've decided that in order to upgrade, I'm gonna add some wall gardens to kind of help out and make sure that that the aesthetics is better. And also they're kind of pretty, and I want to look at them. I want to see how they look, so why not? Now we have discovered some problems with salads, that we don't have enough. I might be thinking it's the same problem as food, right? Like we have plenty in stock. Actually, with salads, it's not the case. The problem here was the fact that we had a lot of salads stocked in the markets, because market can have up to 20 salads stocked kind of to prepare for stuff. And we have like 3 markets there, so it's like 60 of the salads we had were stored in markets, and we were selling anything above 80, so we didn't really have much of a buffer. We didn't have many salads that we could give to our citizens, because we were selling a lot of the salads to the Heavenly Water, who needed them, and then we had a lot in stock in the market, so then I kind of added a few farms, which helped a little bit. We have started a drought period. The clouds are completely gone, making solar energy more effective. But the groundwater dried up. Yeah, the loss of water is not great for us. However, again, and the earth became infertile. Here you can use the trick with the fact that you're going to buy the water at the city that actually makes the water. So that will allow you to buy the water for very cheap. That'll be good. Actually, in this case, it seems like the water is cheap everywhere, but... No. Here the water costs 7. But at the Heavenly Water it only costs 1, and at the Dream Workplace it costs only 1 again. So that's why it's a good idea to buy it here and not at the SPS Center. Because the pipeline will distribute it, so it doesn't matter, right? But if you buy it at the SPS Center, it's going to cost you 7 times the amount. So keep this stuff in mind. It's a really good thing. Batteries, yeah, well, the increased sunshine is good because now that we have like the vertical solar panels, we do have some of them, so we can make a little bit more, you know, energy that way. But I don't know if we'll be able to sell the batteries to the battery station, orbital station, sorry. We have like 60 at the moment and they want like 140. Okay, we have 80, but still not the best. I'm actually doing quite well on selling the batteries. Like, the increased sunshine really helped out quite a bit. I didn't think it would help out this much. We already sold 100 and we will still have 4 days of the drought. Now, I don't know if we talked about this yet, so I'll tell you at the moment. You only get medals if you survive the disasters, but if disaster is kind of coupled up with some task, like selling batteries, you only get the medal if you fulfill the task as well. And in this game, you definitely want to get the medals as soon as possible because you need a lot of them to unlock everything, so it can take a while otherwise. So it's always a good idea to really try to sell stuff. And I'm guilty of like ignoring the task and just being like, well, I'll do it later. It's actually really good if you do it sooner because you can get a lot of medals and you can progress a little bit faster in the game, which can be nice. But then again, we do want to savor the game and enjoy it, so. Yeah, okay. Never mind. Again, still saying too many spoilers. Oh, I've decided to build an entertainment center in the SPS Center too. Entertainment center in the SPS Center, love that. To make a little bit more money. And also because I wanted to increase entertainment, to have a better prestige for my people in the SPS Center. That was a fairly okay move. I've been looking at the matter mines. Actually, one of them is not even working because it's filled up, so I was thinking that maybe I could even like remove it because it's not like completely necessary. We're already making the matter elsewhere. We're not really using it. Because I've now demolished it. Batteries, guys! So we actually succeeded in this drought mission. At the end, we looked at our beautiful wall gardens and they're very pretty. I quite like them. So you can have a look at them, and that's it for this episode. And the next episode will be normal with the voiceover as usual. Like I said, I had problems with the mic. I'm sorry about that. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!